pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, how about approval of the agenda?
I have a couple items I'd like to add. Under manager's report, discuss the FEMA award letter. And under business, I'd like to discuss the lease resolution that I provided for you both, all of you tonight.
Anything else?
Motion we accept as amended.
Okay, motion's made and seconded, all in favor? Alrighty. Public forum, public comment on non-agenda items?
Will we be able to comment on the Turnpike access ramp issue?
Sure, it's on the agenda. I do have something though, and this is for Roger and his crew. This was on Facebook, so it's public knowledge because it's out there under Arundel Chatter, and it was Michelle Morrow who put it on there, and she says, I'm hoping that some of the fire department and some of the Arundel Town Worksmen see this post. I just want to thank you guys for the speed in which you took care of the tree in the road yesterday. To my surprise, the Arundel Town Works was in front of my house today, cutting down the rest of the tree. I thought for sure this was an expense I was going to have to pay. I was already trying to figure out who I would have come to cut the tree down and haul it off for me. Thank you to the fire department and Arundel Town Works getting rid of the tree. Thanks to Kennebunk Light and Power for attaching the wires back to my house yesterday. I will still need to have somebody come to check out the house where the siding was torn off and to check out attaching the wires a little bit more securely to the house. But all of those entities were amazing. So I thought I would hold on to that and let everybody know and pass that along.
That was on the River Road after that storm we had.
Yeah. So I thought I would just pass that along and,
I had something on the
Yeah.
Log Cabin Road.
yeah.
A while back, I spoke to you folks about this, DOT was down there working on the Log Cabin Road. I met with the regional foreman, their summer maintenance comes out of Berwick, for whatever reason, I don't know. But they were down there doing some ditch work last year, they paved it 2 years ago. Last year they were down there doing ditching. This year they did some more ditching. So I wanted to show them some of the culverts that were there. 3 of the culverts, starting at Joe Labrador's, the next one right just past Old Post, and then there's one just before the train tracks, have failed, there's no bottoms in. We've already had sinkholes in the road that we'd fixed. So I showed him those, and he said they'd put them in the work order, and I said, you could still salvage those, you can still sleeve them or do whatever. Nope, we don't do that anymore, we'll cut the road. So you pave the road, then you add shoulders to it where the shoulders are already too high. About all they've accomplished is putting full lane rumble strips in it, cause they had 90-degree heat and a steel track excavator back and forth. Now they're gonna cut the road, so someday maybe we can get through to the DOT that no one else in this world can do that kind of work. Because we can't afford to do it that way. That's what you've got going on.
What kind of culverts they gonna put in?
Hopefully ones with bottoms in them. We had a sinkhole down by Joe Labrador's that we fixed late winter, early spring. It was 18 inches in diameter and 5 feet deep, right to where the culvert band used to be. After we had that 4 inches of rain in December, stuff like that starts showing up. That whole road has got a mess of culverts in it that are junk. And this is how they go about things. I don't know what it'll take, something from us.
So they're gonna tear it up and put in brand new ones rather than just sleeve them, which would be just as
Right,
as
they
good.
said they don't do that anymore. Well, some places do, in the DOT, but. So I don't know, whether it's worth trying to get the representatives to talk to somebody and, I mean, no one can do work like that. It's just wasting their time and money. They're doing 5,000 feet, he said, of ditch work this year. They're already done, moved out someplace else. They're coming back next year to do the same thing. It's like, can you do that stuff in the private world though?
Not hardly.
Well, you shouldn't be able to do it in the public world either, because that's whose money you're wasting. But I talked to him, for what it's worth, I don't know what'll happen.
Can you get in touch with somebody, Keith? I don't know who you
Sure.
get in touch with, but,
Just, I think it's more of a, as Roger alludes to, it's more of a procedural matter.
Yeah.
I mean, coming in after you've paved the road to do the infrastructure underneath, it's kind of ridiculous, you know?
and then tearing
Okay.
everything up if it's not
Yeah.
necessary.
Put the cart before the horse, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay,
You're gonna have to go higher up in
Anything
the
else?
regional office.
Yeah.
Don't call Scarborough.
Yeah.
Don't call 885-7000, cause you'll get where I am right now.
Okay.
Roger, do you put in, when you do culvert, do you put in, metal culverts, or are you doing
We haven't used metal culverts in a while.
composite or plastic?
Some of the stuff we're using is basically used for water main and gas main stuff. It's rugged stuff.
Yeah. The last
This
one.
is what we're using to sleeve some of these metal ones that are in the ground already,
Yeah,
but we're using for direct burial too, and it's a little more expensive,
right, but they last.
but it's rugged
forever.
stuff. We tried a different kind for driveway culverts that have at least 1.5 foot of cover or more over them. And in shipping this culvert, going down the road, bouncing up and down on the trailer broke before it ever got in the ground. So sometimes you don't save a lot of money buying inexpensive pipe. The manufacturer's looking at it now and seeing what they're gonna do about it.
okay. Anything else under public forum? Okay, approve the minutes of July 27th.
That was a wicked long meeting.
Yeah, I can see that.
I make a motion, we approve it as submitted.
Okay, motion second,
Second that.
motion's made and seconded, all in favor? So much for the minutes. How about committee and board reports, anything there?
School board meetings have been at the same time as our meetings, so they've had a bunch of them, but,
They have an important vote tonight.
yeah, yeah, for
To-
the
to-
school,
Yeah, to find out which system they're going to use to move forward.
yeah.
Just to give you a brief, we've been, the managers and the superintendent of the schools have been meeting on Fridays, via Zoom to discuss what this hybrid model or whatever they're going to do. I guess at their last meeting, they had a bunch of concerned citizens that were more concerned even opening the schools at all. So they've asked all the departments, all the town rec departments to look at the possibility of running a full-blown daycare center. And the reason being is that we can capture some of those students that would, if they're in the hybrid model, that have to have daycare on the Monday and Tuesdays or the Wednesday and Thursdays, that they will not be in school. But more importantly, from what I gathered at our last meeting, is that they wanna be able to provide daycare to the teachers who need it, because the teachers are pushing back in terms of coming back to school. They're saying, you know, if I have to come back to school and my kids don't go, you know, what do I do with my kids? So that was the issue. So right now, we're still trying to deal with the logistics of it. Location, what I'm hearing is that the school doesn't want us to utilize the ML Day school to offer before or after care if they're not in the school. So there's a lot of logistics that we're still trying to work out. So, just have to wait and see how it all flushes out. I think we're all in the same boat. We'll know more after tonight's vote. We're meeting via Zoom tomorrow, to see where we're gonna go. So, all the departments, all the rec departments are involved in it right now, so, I'll keep you advised as to how it comes out.
Okay, how about status of municipal building?
Sure, just to give you a quick rundown of where we are right now
Are they some-
in terms of the building.
Pictures?
Yeah, I provided you some, those are the pictures from the 7th, so late last week. Just a couple, just to give you an idea of the millwork that's going on inside, as well as the ceiling going in. But right now, All the outside concrete work is completed. They poured the last bunch of concrete that goes in front of the barn area, so that was done last week. Roger was kind enough to get the benches that will be placed at the new town hall from Jeunesse Concrete. We've had them delivered. They're at the Public Works Garage. I think we'll probably coordinate the placement of those when they get ready to start their landscaping portion. Like to get them in there before they start putting loam down and all those other things, so it makes it a little easier for us to place them. The interior wall priming and painting is completed inside, including the accent walls. I think you saw some of the accent walls. There was an accent wall in the meeting room, and there's two in the common areas going into the town office area, as well as the code and planning area. All the solar panels have been completed. They're up, and they won't be energized until CMP places the permanent transformer on the pole, and we have permanent power to the location, and we'll be able to.
Do we have any idea when that's gonna happen?
I'll find out more tomorrow. I have a meeting with the contractor, regular meetings on Tuesday, so I'll get a little better idea of if he's had any success with CMP yet. Get down there and set that transformer.
Cause we could be producing power now and building up our,
That is correct.
whatever.
Yep. Our reserve.
Our reserve, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The emergency generator for the building was delivered today. It's sitting there, and I gotta tell you, it's freaking huge. I didn't think it was gonna be that big. But standing next to it, it's probably 10 feet tall. And yeah, so that's gonna be sitting in the front of that location. So you got a pad, and the reason it's 10 feet tall, because the fuel tank for it is underneath the generator. So, that's what was spec'd, and that's it's being placed. But, yeah, I know, we could probably downsize it.
How many
But-
kW is that?
I think it's, I'd have to look at the specs again, I can't remember, I thought it was 100 kW, but I could be wrong.
That'd be better when they put it.
Yeah, it's a big system. The thing that's gonna be our saving grace, obviously it's on a pad, but around the whole generator will be plantings. When they go in, they're gonna be 6 foot in height, and I guess the evergreens, I guess they grow quite quickly. And once we get to a certain height, we'll have to keep them cut so they don't go out and go crazy on us, but they'll form a fence, a natural fence area around this generator, so hopefully it will take away from the look of it. I don't like the look. If I know it was that big, I may have put the generator on the other side of the roadway and have them run the power over to it, but, it's there now, so, anyway.
If you'd known it was that big, you'd have turned the building around.
Yeah, John, you're never gonna let me live that down, huh?
John's not gonna quit.
You never will.
Too late now.
The exterior painting is still ongoing, there's some locations that are still being painted up, but the last week, I gave, Jack Turcott contacted me, wanted to take a walkthrough, and he's already starting his punch list, and what he saw a lot of was exterior painting that needed to be addressed, so I'm sure that we'll get back to that as we do the punch list and get going. The interior millwork has begun, you'll see without windows in the sinks, plus the ceilings are going in. The drop ceilings are being installed now. I think most of it is installed with the exception of where the lighting package will go in. And they're probably waiting for the, the transformer to be placed so they can do that. The big issue I had last week, I don't know if I told you about this, was the question on the relative humidity on the adhesive that they use on the floor in the building. We've been monitoring the relative humidity in the floor, and in order to in order to, continue to have our warranty on the floor work, the humidity based on the adhesive that they quoted had to be 95% humidity or less. Right now, the reports are coming in, we got 2 locations within the building, which give us 96.9, and one was just under 96, but not 95. It was just over 95, it was like 95.6 or 7. So what this has created is that they're asking me to look at upgrading the adhesive package to the 99% relative humidity package. Again, learning a lot about floors. Evidently, this stuff gets put down with a special trowel. Once it's down, it has to set for a while until it gets sticky to the point where when you put your finger on it, it doesn't pick up. Once it's there, then they roll the flooring over it, and then they take a big roller and put it on the top and roll it out. Well, it will, if we don't get the 95% humidity, and we use the 95% adhesive, they won't warranty the floor. So it's a $3,000 upgrade for the adhesive for the floor. So what I did is I indicated to them that I wanted them to run another test, because we've been running the dehumidifier in the building, they've been running the air, fans in the building, and I'm hopeful that we'll get the humidity down where we need it prior to them laying the floor out. So it's a waiting game, but I'll keep you apprised if we have to do the upcharge on the flooring, because I don't want to use the 95 if we don't meet the humidity and then have the floor fail, then we won't be warranted. Can't do
Why
that.
is the humidity so high? Is it because the ground is wet, or?
I don't know. I don't think it's. I think it's the curing of the cement, because when they did that, if you remember correctly, when they put the subfloor in, they put the fabric in, they pound it, and then they put plastic over the top of that. When they put the styrofoam billets in as well, that are covered. So I think that, I'm hoping it's just the concrete that's still curing, and it will go away, so we'll see. I contacted Spectrum today. Contractor wants to get them on board to start the internet and phone hookup for the building. They got right back to me, believe it or not. I can't get them to take any, or Roger and I can't get them to take down any telephone poles they don't need anymore, but they don't mind making some money and putting some new systems in. And then finally, the dispensers that will be going in all the restrooms have been ordered. We're getting them free, it's a free package through Staples. They'll be here sometime this week, and the contractor will place them in all the restrooms and the kitchen area. These are battery operated, so you put your hand underneath it, and whatever material you get, so they're on their way. That's it for now.
What about the windows up top on the,
We talked about that. When they finish doing the duct work, you'll be able to, if they did not tint those windows, you'd be able to see the bottom trace of that duct work. They guarantee me that I'm not gonna be able to see it. And I guaranteed them that if I do, they're gonna have to come back and do something
figure
else.
something out, yeah.
So, I guess that's where we are at this point with that.
As far as total timeline, are we on schedule, are we ahead of schedule, or how are we looking?
I believe they're looking to be at 95% or so complete somewhere in the middle of October. So, and I think that will include furniture placed, as well as, going through the systems, making sure everything's right. Going through our punch list and all that kind of stuff as we wrap up and start to wind down. So they really are holding off on the landscaping, because I think they could start some of the landscaping outside simply because they don't have water. we don't have any water until we got power. And then we can run the well, and we can put water out, so once they start putting the shrubberies and all that stuff in, they're gonna want the water to be available, so. So there, I think, Emily and I have talked about it, and I've indicated to the contractor that we, regardless of anything else we do, we want voting there in November. So that's another goal that we have, they're well aware of it, and they believe, they pretty much guaranteed it will be there, so.
I mean, obviously, if it's landscaping or interior stuff should take a top priority. In the worst case scenario, they could do landscaping in the spring next year if they had to,
Right.
right? I mean,
Right, but I think I think they're at a point now, this past week, there weren't as many contractors on site that I thought there would be. But they're starting to wind down, things are getting done.
You think we should just go ahead and spend the 3,000 for the floor glue, just to keep that process moving? I mean,
Yeah,
3,000 is pretty cheap money in the scheme of.
Yeah, it probably is in the long term. I'll know better after that test is supposed to be done, I think, late last week or early this week. So, as soon as I know, I'll, make a decision and move on through that. Cause I'm with you, I don't wanna slow it down.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to.
Hopefully they don't test tomorrow, it's supposed to be like 95% humidity tomorrow.
Yeah.
how are we doing with our contingency?
We're doing fine
Yeah.
right now, yeah. I'll have to give you a full report of where we are in terms of expenditures out. I'll work on that this week
Yeah.
and get it to your next meeting so you know where we are, but.
Any major change orders at all?
We had a $5,000 upgrade on the well system because they only gave us 10 and it came in at 10,500. 15,000, I'm sorry. And then we got believe it or not, we got a $2,400 benefit to us, a credit, because we went with the smaller fuel tank underneath the generator, believe it or not. It would have been even taller in the air. And then there was a slight upgrade, and we were talking about the pump station that's going to pump out to the leach field. And the pump was, I thought, undersized, so we upgraded the size of the pump to make sure that we were okay there. And those are the only couple things. We had some speakers that the contractor put into the meeting room. Ahead of the AV people, he got a deal on them, I had him install them now, the AV people will come in and wire them. So, everything else I think is on board. We may get an upcharge after that hailstorm, for Brex to come back and repair that. I'm not sure how that's gonna work out. I talked to the contractor a couple of weeks ago. Brex is not on site right now, so we'll have that conversation again.
What damage was
Yeah.
caused by the hail?
Well, we have the retaining ponds, and because we had no grass catchment or anything there, when the hail came down and the hard rain, it took all that stuff, as Roger was describing down there across from Burt Cowgills, and it ran that stuff into the retaining pond, so they gotta dig those out a little bit. And I think they're gonna put some fabric on those before and they may even use some turf there as opposed to waiting for it to catch, so that's up to them, as long as it's done right.
Should that have been done as part of the process to begin with, or no?
Not sure where they were in terms of getting all that done before that. I think they were holding off because they had no water.
Oh,
And I'm kinda with Jason though, if we're bumping up against that humidity.
For $3,000.
$3,000.
Yeah, and then it seems like we're covered no matter what on warranty, you know?
Yep.
Especially now where they've already tested and they're showing the result higher,
Yep.
that to me just seems like
Yeah,
the
even if-
manufacturer could come back and say, well, if you guys failed the test at this date, what's to say you know, like,
Right.
Even if the test that comes in, if it comes in at less than 95, I agree, it was just for $3,000, go for the,
Insurance.
yeah.
Okay,
it guarantees us the warranty.
yep, it will. Yep. Hopefully we don't have any problems with the floor, but. The other thing is I added into we're not finalized But I provided to you, in your packet, the deed information from the Limerick and Brimstone Road Survey that was done. I think we still, I tried to reach out to, Attorney Reed, who represents the owner of the property, to get the new owner's name of the property for the deed. Haven't heard back yet. Leah has asked for some updated information too, in reference to who the new owner is, so, once we get that information, we'll be able to update that, and it'll be in Leah's hands, and she can get us the full document for taking of that property, so. But I wanted to at least give it to you, what we have right now from, I always screw it up, it's B2HM, I think.
BH2M.
BH2M, see, I knew I screwed it up. The other thing too is that I applied for, Keep Maine Healthy grant. This is, part of the funding that the federal government is giving to the state of Maine under the CARES Act. They had another rollout of funding. This time I applied for, these electrostatic cleaning systems. I went for a backpack, which I would utilize with the rec department, and two portable electro systems that one would be used for the ambulance, we give it to the fire department, so it would reduce their turnover time in terms of ambulance being back in service, and we'd use the other one in the town office. And essentially what they are is that you fill them with a certain chemical, and then you spray. I think you've seen on TV where they have these spraying systems. You spray it on, you walk away, it dries, you're over. So, I applied for them. If we get them, fine. If we don't, then I think we'll continue doing what we're doing now, but the money's there, and I guess, we don't have to match it with anything, so.
10 years from now, they'll tell us that stuff is causing all kinds of diseases.
Yeah.
Roundup.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
The other thing, was I got contacted by, Maine Turnpike Authority, late last week in reference to the utilization of the, areas that they have in and around Limerick Road. They have two access points. One, I guess they don't use, is directly across from John's property. It's gated now, and they must have used it when they were doing the widening of the turnpike. And then the other one, I think, is used, it's right here at the day school, by the, state police. I see them in there from time to time, so, as I understand, as they expressed to me, that they're considering possibly opening these up so they can utilize them for snowplow operations. Right now, from what they've been telling me, is that a lot of times their snowplows will have to turn around at the U points in the medium strip, and sometimes they're sitting there for minutes before they can make the turn. And they figure that they can use these to go around and then go back on either northbound or southbound in order to conduct their plowing operations. They put a few, Roger and I talked about it, there's some north of us, there's some south of us now that they've already put in. So this is what created this discussion. And as I laid it out there, I got an email from Roger, I got an email from John, talking about that access point on that side. I think Roger indicated to me that he felt that the map that they had provided me was inaccurate. And I look at our tax map, I gave you a copy of our tax map too. And the tax map doesn't show the same depiction as they're showing on this Google Earth photograph. Now, again, the Google Earth photograph could be off a few degrees because they're taking it off Google Earth, but I'm not sure. So you all may have better knowledge on the status of this entrance point than I do. But I thought we'd have it here for any discussion that we may have, if there are any concerns that come up.
I'd forgotten all about the one on the other side of the bridge. I didn't even think that was available anymore. I know this one on this side, because I think, doesn't the fire department have a key to that gate so that they could?
Right now, the way Jason could probably answer this better, I don't believe that Arundel goes on the pike at all.
We did, when I first joined, we did, and we were dead set against it, cause it's scary. Trying to merge with it's one thing on a merging ramp or something to get on the
We have
traffic,
one,
but,
right, just, there isn't one there, yeah.
so I don't even think we have a key anymore, I think they took the key back, and I'm not aware of a key that we have to, and we haven't been on there in probably 15 years.
Yeah, from what I understand, I talked to the chief a little bit about this today. He said that they have some up in the Saco area, and they have Knox boxes on them.
Yeah.
So that's how they provide emergency access for fire departments.
Yeah.
But the larger question is, it begs, do we wanna get involved in that? You know, you got Kennybunk to the south, Bedford to the north,
Right.
and we're in the middle. We really wanna take on any responsibility if in fact there's a call on the turnpike for that section. So, along with this here, I'm not quite sure, if this is doable, you know, the entrance in there. Do you guys have any more knowledge on it? It looks like it's owned by
Who owns the property?
Maine Turnpike Authority.
If they do what they want, it's their property.
Yeah. It could,
I mean, I certainly remember that, I mean, you
Oh, you
can
do.
still see part of it there now.
yeah, it's still, some of it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that access has been there forever,
Oh, it has,
way back, yeah.
okay.
When I worked for the town a few years ago.
Yeah, okay.
It was
Just a
there.
couple.
John's asked for a deed. I haven't found one yet, John. I don't know
Okay.
what kind of comments you have relative to this.
Well, first of all, I'd like to see something in black and white as to whether they own it, whether they have a right of way, and get some detail on just what the situation is. My concern in this is very obviously noise. I live right on the turnpike, and every time it snows, I listen to those trucks rumbling up and down the pike. They're loud, they're steady, they don't stop. Now, if I've gotta put up with them getting off the pike after they go rumbling by my house, they get off the pike a couple of 100 yards up the road, come rumbling out that access, using it for a turnaround, practically in my front yard. I'm dead set against this. I don't see any need for it, because you've got Kennybunk 3 miles south, you got Bedford 3 miles north. They're trying to make a case for this out of the safety aspects. And like Jason was talking about, the only access on both sides is a 90-degree into the turnpike. You're trying to pull out into 60 mile, 70 mile an hour traffic in a snowstorm.
Well, they should be doing 60, 70 miles an hour in a snowstorm to begin with.
They shouldn't be, but you know that they are.
They do that.
I travel the pike every freaking day, so, you know.
I just don't see where, they're gonna be any safer, you know,
Well,
coming off the pike and going around.
I think the intent is that they can, you know, those short sections, they can keep those, you know, plowed more readily, rather than, you know, wait till they go all the way down to the other one or the U-turn. They can kinda loop around and do those short sections where, you know, it keeps the roads cleaner than the way.
They
they're
don't plow
doing it
snow
today.
anyway, they melt it.
Huh?
I said, they don't plow snow anyway, they melt it. And for the time it would take them to open those gates, go through, back around, they're gonna be in Bedford turning around at the exit. This doesn't make sense at all to me.
Okay, I wanna just pick up on that point too, because this whole thing doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not normally one for conspiracy theories, but I have to wonder, what the hell are they planning 5 or 10 years down the road? Because this whole scheme makes no sense whatsoever.
You mean like an Arundel,
Like an Arundel exit, yes.
Yeah.
And I don't wanna wind up living in the middle of a clover leaf over here.
At one point in time, they had something on paper, there was a road that came in to save Sanford, coming in right at the Downing
oh,
Road
yeah,
and onto the turnpike.
yeah.
So it's been considered before. Sight
Yeah.
distances here are terrible on either one of those approaches. You've got a corner plus the bridge, the sight distance at the Downing Road should have never been, that's not adequate. It's supposed to be, 100 feet for every 10 miles an hour speed. There's no 350 feet there when you're sitting at the Downing Road. This is the same way coming out, and it's gonna be worse on the other side. This doesn't make any sense at all to me.
Now, to me, they can get on in Biddeford, come down through, turn around in Kennebunk, that's what they wanna do.
Yeah.
And go back to Biddeford, if that's their stretch.
Right.
When you check those deeds out, when they did that bridge, they did a taking of property from La Roche. And there's a strip back to the tree line now. Not according to this isn't close.
How about our tax map, Raj? Here, take a look at this.
The tax map doesn't-
It is a big
map-
pie-shaped piece.
Okay.
Yeah, the tax map doesn't match what they show.
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay, cause they show that the Old Merrill Farm Road actually they own the first sliver coming onto Limerick Road by our tax maps, but when I look at the lay of the land on the ground, it seems like their entrance is further towards the bridge as opposed to where that Old Merrill Road goes in.
They're basically talking, there's a catch basin right there at the end of the guardrail.
Oh, there
And
is.
that's where they're talking about going in. There's a gate there, it's more than 50 feet off the road that we actually own right up to that gate, and that's not
Oh,
good
we
to
do
this.
own to that gate?
We own to the tree line now. By the time you check the tax maps out, you'll find out, you'd have to deed them something for them to be able to do this, unless you're just gonna let them build something and drive across it on town property.
So these maps are nowhere near right.
But this one ain't, not what they sent.
I mean, I'd be inclined to think that they own the property where the road is, but again, that was put in so long ago, who knows, but I would tend to think that they own that on John's side. You know, that they own that property. Again, if they own that property,
Well, there's no question they own that property,
What-
but just to
what-
build that road, I mean, that's nothing more than a cow path. Right now, you can walk it.
I know that, but I mean.
Gonna
what-
spend some
what
money
do
to
we-
fix it, to do this.
What do we have to say to tell them, no, they can't do it? It's their
Cause they gotta cross 50 feet of town property to get to it.
Well, I think the other thing too is, I think the other argument you can say if it feels like, the town is really, cautious about this, would be that, number one, we think the approaches are so close to Limerick Road. I can't imagine a six-wheel dump truck full of salt and a wing trying to come out right here at the day side, the middle of the day side, and try to go up that hill and take a left and go, to turn again to go northbound. That's gonna be danger. I think the same thing on the other end.
Yeah, more danger coming the other way.
You know,
Right
I mean,
after the curve.
right. So, I think their approaches are bad to begin with. I think the other argument we could make is that, obviously, they have, exits in Kennebunk and Biddeford, which are less than 3 or 4 miles either way, for the same thing, so, I mean, if I don't get a warm and fuzzy feeling here, obviously, I can send them our concerns and address that with them.
Well, let me assure you, I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about it.
I don't think any of us are getting a warm and fuzzy feeling. That one on the old Merrill Farm Road, they're gonna have to go all the way in through there to the gravel pit and then come out at that gravel pit.
Correct. Right.
They got money, they can tar all of that, they can make that
Oh,
another
sure,
highway.
yeah.
Well, they paved all the others.
I pay for it every time I go.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Where's the 50 feet that we own? You don't
Right
have
up
the
to
tax-
that gate from the Limerick Road in, the way they're showing this, they own right to the edge of the Limerick Road, and they don't.
they don't.
Huh.
See, we don't have anything that describes that, even
It
our
was
tax
deeded to
map.
the town
Both,
after that bridge was put in, cause they had to take property from La Roche. That bridge went on the north side of the existing bridge, so they
Okay.
had to take some property. But they don't own right to the edge of that pavement like they're showing.
on both entrances?
This one, I'm sure they probably do.
Okay.
I'm not sure that this line that they show coming in around this school, because there was a deal struck on that as well.
Yes,
Back when they did the widening, there was some stuff they did. They put air conditioners in here at school too, for noise reduction and stuff. There was all kinds of deals made back then, as far as the property lines
The
and
school
stuff.
had to deal with this when they did the expansion, too.
Yeah.
There was something to do with the expansion when
The
they did
entrance
that.
had to be
Right.
addressed.
So that was property
They changed some stuff and
Right.
they,
traded back and forth,
Yeah.
but that other one, no way, they own what they say they do.
Okay, well, maybe that's the way I'll approach it, just say we have some concerns based on the map you provided, that we believe that there may be some.
They was really concerned in the interest of safety, they wouldn't consider this, cause this is not safe what they're proposing, because of the site distances.
Yeah, I would have preferred to see them get away from the, you know, even if they were doing one on this side, but they'd come to the entrance to the school and make that turn, as opposed to going up over that hill and trying to make that turn. And then down on the other side, it's almost like you've gotta need to push it away from the bridge further down in order to give you enough apron to put something in there that you can make the turn, but.
You'd have to go quite a ways down, and that's gonna cut off LaRoche's driveway
Right.
and the other two girls who live down there.
Right.
you know. I have done a quick canvass of the other neighbors in
You
that
did,
area.
did you?
And nobody's enthusiastic about this, I'll tell you.
Okay.
I mean, they certainly, if they want, if they own what they show they own, they certainly can change that access road closer to the bridge and kinda have like, instead of a 90-degree, kinda have a, you know, a ramp up to it. I mean, I look at this, there's a lot of things that they can do if they had to do that, but we're probably better off just saying.
I didn't get the feeling that this was etched in concrete in any way, it was almost like a preliminary, trying to put a feel out there to see how the town was gonna react.
Oh, and I think if they claim they own it, I would like to see their deed description to prove that they own it, or their survey to prove that they own it.
There's a deed reference on our, property record card, so I certainly can pull the deeds and take a look at that. I'm no expert to that, so I don't know what that would tell me.
No,
I'd almost say that this line that's projected on there was the previous line, prior to, I know they show the new bridge,
Yeah,
but that was the previous, before that bridge was done.
and John, were you living there when they redid that bridge and moved it north?
I moved in a couple of years after the bridge was done, so I don't have any knowledge of, you know,
Cause
what
they're,
transpired.
I mean,
there.
on their map, they're actually showing a triangle on your side that comes right to
Yeah.
a point,
Yeah, kinda
almost
weird.
in front of your house.
Yeah, and that's not, I didn't know anything about that, I thought, that triangle's so narrow, I thought our property just included
Okay.
that, but I mean, it's such a small sliver of
It
land,
is.
it doesn't make any difference anyway.
Okay.
When I was talking to Debbie last Friday, she did mention that they took a triangular shaped piece of land off here when they did the
Bridge.
bridge.
Okay, so I'm sure there's some reference to that somewhere, plus the records that we have for the, school, changing over here when they did this work, so. All right, I'll do some more research before I do much of anything.
But don't discount the conspiracy theory either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing I had under this, Velma, was to just, bring attention to the award letter that FEMA just granted us under the Assistance for Firefighters Grant Program. We received $5,816.48 to the fire department, which will be used for personal protective equipment, masks, gowns, things like that. Right now, we're seeking to see if we can use that as a reimbursement to some of the stuff we've already purchased in reference to it, so. Small one, we got a couple other grants out there, we're still waiting patiently for, one's for SCBA's, doesn't look promising on that one, but, the turnout gear for the firefighters may be something that we get, so, keep our fingers crossed and see if that comes through.
You've got all that stuff on your computer to show that when you go in, what you have to do?
For,
It says summary awards memo, the agreement articles, obligating document,
He's got it all.
okay.
You got something on the lease too, right?
Yeah, that's under lease resolution, I put it under new business.
Oh, sorry, I put it on the.
Yeah. Be the last thing of business before we get to other business.
What is this from the DAR? Is that on here?
No. That was a letter to you.
Oh, okay, well, let's put that then under manager's report, although it did come, boy, it didn't take them long to put me down as chair, did it?
No?
This is from the DAR, and it's enclosed as a Constitution Week proclamation. The Rebecca Emery chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution is requesting Arundel's active participation in this year's celebration of our United States Constitution's 233rd anniversary. The DAR is a nonprofit volunteer service organization. If you will date, sign, and have sealed the proclamation and display it at Town Hall, it will be our honor to include you in our yearly report provided to the National Society. We would also like to honor each town that participates in signing their proclamation with a mention in our state DAR newsletter and in a newspaper article and other publicity about Constitution Week. The DAR is a nonprofit volunteer service organization. Unless there is a pandemic restriction, I am hoping to send a chapter representative to take a photo of the displayed proclamation, and if you or any other representatives of the town would like to be in that photo, wonderful. Please contact me if you have questions, and please notify me if and when the proclamation is signed. In anticipation of a favorable response, Catherine Fisher, and this just says Constitution Week Proclamation. Whereas September 17th, 2020 marks the 233rd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition of this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designated September 17th to 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore I, make up my full name, Elma Jones Hayes, by virtue of the authority vested in me as Chairman of the Board of Selectmen in the town of Arundel in the state of Maine, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th to the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Arundel, of the town, to be affixed this blank date of September 2020, signed and sealed. What's your pleasure?
What a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
How much money did it cost?
This is from the Rebecca Emery chapter, which is located in, right now their mailing address is in North Waterboro.
You wanna sign it?
I mean, it doesn't cost us anything,
Yeah,
it
we'll
doesn't.
sign it, we'll have, put the town seal on it, let them know it's done, and
What's in it for?
display it at the town hall, and they'll come down and take a picture of it, and whoever's available at the town hall to take a picture.
You-
And you
I'm
can
gonna
all
be,
wear-
I'm gonna be
You
unavailable.
can all wear your masks when we take the picture.
Hang it in the new municipal building and we can advertise, you know,
Yeah.
kind of get some media on that.
So I have a motion to.
I make a motion, Velma signs it on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, as
Okay,
the chair, blah, 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 blah.
and do I have a second?
I'll I'll second it.
Yeah. Alrighty, all in favor? Okay.
Somebody figure out what it says in
There you go, Emily, that's yours. I'm gonna give you the whole
the
thing.
target for it,
There you go, have fun, you. Okay, pending appointments.
Yes, we, I believe at this point we have, 4 pending appointments. 2 for the planning board, one for James Lowry, the other one for Jens Peter Bergen, to be reappointed to the, planning board. The other 2 is, Rafi, I'll always
Ray Reimer.
Ray Reimer, and, John Bell to the Board of Appeals.
I make a motion that we, approve, or that we, we approve James Lowry and, Jens Peter Bergen to the planning board. We reappoint those 2, how many, just 3 years, right?
Yeah, 20 to 23.
Yeah.
You wanna do the other 2 at the same time? Ray Reimer and
John Bell.
John Bell to the Board of Appeals?
That wasn't in our notes, right? This is new?
It was not, I got word from Wendy late Friday, and then I had the clerk put them together today.
Okay, I'll add, Ray to the Board of Appeals and John Bell to the, Arundel Board of Appeals.
Okay, motion.
All of those for 3-year terms.
Motion's been made, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Okay, you have the originals?
Thank you, John, good job.
Yep.
Thank you.
Man, you're really getting into all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's great, the Board of Appeals hasn't met in a year, the York County thing only meets once or twice a year.
Listen, this
That beat it, you got all these titles.
This is 2020, a lot can happen, a lot has already happened, so, you know.
Next thing I have is, a letter of support for the Arundel, Historical Society. I provided, effort, I reached out to, Historical Society members to see if it met, what they were looking for in terms of support of their efforts to garner donations or grants and things like that. Tried to highlight, some of the events and things that they're doing, and that we're fully in support of those actions. If you find that this is, adequate and you'd like to support it, I think we have a motion and a second to sign it on behalf of the town, and, we'll move on.
Questions?
You guys gonna have the Heritage Day this year?
No. But we are planning on having a yard sale to see if we can get rid of some of the, things that we have stored in poor Suzanne's barn. But we probably won't advertise it until just before, because we really don't want, the crowds that we always have at Heritage Day. We may even change our mind about the yard sale. But we are going out looking for grants, and this is one of the things that helps in our search for grants.
You need a motion?
Yes,
So moved.
motion made by Jason, we have a second?
Okay.
Okay, and a second, all in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry.
resolution.
Yes, for the last couple of weeks, been trying to put together a package to purchase the front end loader and the Bobcat, which you folks initially gave approval to purchase. So in terms of doing that, part of the process is that our attorney, in this case Drummond and Woodson, needs to look at the documents to verify exactly what's going on, the process, so on and so forth. In the interim, what I did is, prior to contacting our attorneys, I went ahead and received 4 estimates for interest rates on the package that we were trying to get some money for. We got an interest rate from Jordan Equipment at 2.95%. Volvo Financial came in at 2.78. Andrew Scargan Bank came in at 2.83. And Community Leasing Partners came in at 2.63. Community Leasing Partners is a company that we used to finance the fire truck that we recently purchased. So with the information, I went ahead and received some leasing documents from Community Leasing Partners to go through the process and secure a lease through them. Our attorney, Greg M., has now asked for a resolution or a motion and a resolution to be signed by the board so he can add it to the packet. I know this came in a little bit late. I got it this morning, and him and I went through a couple drafts on it. And so, but in essence, he's laid out what he felt would be a resolution that could be signed and supported by the town or by the board, so we can go ahead and complete the leasing package for these 2 pieces of equipment. What we'd be doing is, and I think you've probably already seen it, we'd be setting down a payment of $43,000, which will be the first payment. Then we would finance 4 annual payments at $50,550.13 to pay off the rest of this equipment. Obviously, we put $100,000 in our capital reserve each year to make our to purchase equipment, so we'd be using a portion of that, as we will do for the first year's payment, to pay off the last 4. I looked at the 5-year installment, a little bit more, the interest rate was a little bit more, and a little more money to do, and I, seeing that we had the down payment to do the first year of 43, I thought it was just good to do the 4 years instead of 5, and get it paid off.
So, have we ever done something like this before? I don't ever recall doing.
No, this is something that they've asked for an opinion of the council, so this is part of the opinion he's going to render to them based upon this resolution having been adopted by the board.
Basically, that's it.
All right, well, yes, I move that the resolution entitled Resolution to Authorize Lease Purchase of a Wheel Loader and Skid Steer Loader in a principal amount of $189,554 be adopted in form presented to this meeting. Do we need to, in the motion, add who we're gonna use for financing, or are we all set? Is it all part of?
No, I don't think you need to add who you're gonna have financing.
Okay, motion's been made, do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, I have a, Tom, is this normal wording? I mean, that bottom paragraph says that the chair of the board of selectmen, the town treasurer, and the town manager acting singly are authorized to covenant on behalf of the town, to file any information report, and pay any rebate due to the United States.
Boy, am I glad you're the chair, no?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Let's keep your Fingers crossed there's no rebate to the.
I don't think there
All right. That was the only question I had.
Is this usually jargon of CYA coverage?
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
The clerk certification on the back of this looks like, yeah, what's that?
Emily does everything.
Right,
Yeah.
she has to sign this and then make sure that they were here.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll give that to Emily.
Well, that's different, physically present,
Yeah.
attending remotely,
Kind
not
of, I've never
attending.
seen anything like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
neither
no,
have I.
abstain,
Kind
yeah.
of why I asked that.
But Greg sent me a list of things that he needed from me today. Signed, attested copy of the warrant, return of posting of the warrant, certified votes resulting from the town meeting. He's gonna contact Community Leasings to make some changes to the lease agreement, the one that I provided him, he didn't like. I will prepare a lease for signatures, I will prepare other certifications, IRS reports for signatures. And then he wanted to know who was the chair of the board, and then the members, as well as deputy treasurer and the clerk. So,
Have you guys physically voted yet?
yep,
We did.
And all of you were in favor?
Absolutely.
Keith, just for a little info on that other deal with that truck, they're telling me that within 2 to 3 weeks, that thing is gonna be ready as well.
okay,
So I don't know if you guys have to do a special meeting for that or not. Because in order to get this grant, you have to pay for that truck totally up front. Then after the other truck is disabled and we send documentation that that's done, you get the check through the DEP
back to
back
us,
to the town.
right. The only assurances I want is that we're gonna get it in this fiscal year. We'll get the money returned to us in this fiscal year, before we even cut the truck. That we get a guarantee from them that they'll give us the money this year. Because we can spend, we'll have the money in the cap reserve, we may spend a little bit more. But if we don't get our return, then we'll be in default, we can't have that. So that's my only issue with that.
We'll have to check with the DEP, but
Yep.
something came out that they hadn't said it up front, and the fact that you actually had 2 years to make this happen. It's like, well, that's not gonna work.
No, I mean, once we have, if the truck's ready, I wanna have assurances from them, and if I have to contact somebody, I'll go ahead and do it. That we're gonna get the money in this year, cause then we'll go ahead and we'll finish the deal.
Okay, anything else before, and actually it's the payroll and payables warrant that we have.
So move. Vote.
And we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
How's that do for the fleet project? That must just about update the whole fleet now, doesn't it?
There's one other Ford that we gotta come up with some kind of plan to replace, it's a 98. It just under 100,000 miles, it's all snow plow miles, so.
And there's your truck that you drive around all the time. I keep waiting to see you on the side of the road or something. That thing just won't quit, huh?
That's the one that's going down the road.
No, he's talking about the pickup truck.
Pickup, the little pickup.
The orange pickup truck that got repainted last year.
When I first
Someone
got here,
needed.
I looked up on the thing, he had 4 or 5 transmissions and a couple other things for that truck. And going, where the hell are, well, we never know when we need to put one in.
That's because we had 6 of those, and 5 of them were in service all the time, and that was the weak point, plowing with those, was
Well,
transmissions,
No
so.
kidding.
in less than a day, it was, oh, sorry, again.
Must be great to work on that truck though, you know, pop the hood, you got all the space.
You could actually see what you're looking at,
Yeah,
you know. Open the hood on one of these new 550s.
yeah.
It is pathetic.
Roger had mentioned a while back about having a meeting or something over there at the town garage.
Yep.
We'll do that sometime soon.
We can do that.
Should do it after maybe the new truck comes in.
After the fleet's
Same time I'll
updated
bring my
again.
used oil.
What's that?
I'll bring my waste oil.
We still generate waste oil, so we give it all away now.
Huh?
I say we give it all away now. We don't
We
use it.
upgraded that to propane
Yeah.
now.
One of the better things we ever did, that waste oil furnace was,
You still take it?
Always a
Iffy.
problem.
well, we have it anyway. And I know a couple of, M&J takes it from us, and
Yeah.
A to Z Landscaping does too, so. We get some barrels, we just, at least it's not being dumped on the side of the road someplace.
Are you making a motion, Jason?
I was, yeah, to adjourn,
To adjourn? Okay, motion's been made to adjourn, do we have a second?
we'll start it.
Yeah.
Second.
And a second, all in favor? Okay.
What do you think, man? Just shut the